Thank you for everyone for coming along this evening to the session on the CAO information for parents and guardians. So really the purpose of this talk is to just get our parents and guardians who are tuned in up to speed on everything to do with the CAO and what that is and how your student can apply to university if that's something that they want to do, say this September or the following year. I'll preface this by saying that I am not part of the registry team or the fees team at DCU. And if you do have quite specific questions about your case or your child's case, often they can only be discussed directly with the applicant. But we can, of course, direct you where you need to go if you do have some more specific questions. But hopefully I can just give you, a rundown on the CAO in general when it comes to applying to Irish universities. So the title, I guess, of the talk today is Third Level Education. What is it and how to get there? And I can't see the chat currently while I'm presenting, but I will be able to go back in at the end and have a look through if there are any questions. So just to get everyone up to speed on the overview, so we'll introduce everyone to third level education. So there might be some parents or guardians on the call and it's your first rodeo with your child going through this system. Some of you might be experienced and you just want a refresher. So make sure that everyone is up to speed. We'll then cover the CAO and what that actually is. The PLC route as well, which is a very popular way now to apply to universities if maybe your child doesn't want to go directly to university from secondary school. PLCs are really great options, and in DCU we have worked really hard on strengthening our connections with PLC colleges in the country so that students at the colleges can progress onto level 8 study if they would like. And then finally, research how to find more information and help your own child make the decision that they need next year, the year after. So what is third level education? I just Googled this to give us, an overview, and I got some really good information from the Citizens Information website, and it just makes it nice and concise because I know there's a lot of kind of abbreviations and acronyms and phrases when it comes to third level education. What it actually means are a few sectors kind of together in education. So there's universities, so you're obviously chatting with DCU tonight, but that obviously includes all the other universities in Ireland, for example, Trinity, UL, UCC, UCD, Maynooth, the list goes on. But it does also include institutes of technology. So many people would be familiar with Dundalk IT, or DIT used to be an institute of technology, but it's now a university and it's called Technological University Dublin. And it also includes colleges of education as well. So Dunboyne College, Coláiste Dúlaig, or Inchicore, for some examples. They're all known collectively as higher education institutions. And these kind of third level qualifications are from 6 to 10 on the National Framework of Qualifications, or the NFQ. And basically what that is the graphic that we see on screen today. So any degree that you get is going to rank somewhere on this spectrum. And if you were to complete your Leaving Cert, you would have a level 5 certificate, and you can go all the way and finish your education hypothetically with a level 10 or a doctorate in your area. Not everyone, of course, goes on to do that, but this is where the kind of universities, colleges, ITs slot into that spectrum. So like I said, level 5 would be, say, completing your Leaving Cert degree. And then colleges of further education do also offer level 5 and level 6 degrees. Institutes of technology offer generally level 6 and 7 degrees, and universities tend to offer level 8 and onwards. But as you're aware, if you were to go from your Leaving Cert into university, you can, kind of leapfrog up the level of qualification. So your student can go from doing their Leaving Cert level 5 straight in to a level 8 degree. But there are other ways, of course, that you can go to that route. But if you do want to go that route, school straight into university, you must apply to all of the Irish universities via a system called the CAO. So you have to go through the Central Applications Office, and there, underneath that first sentence in bold, we really emphasise that universities cannot take direct applications from students, as much as we might like to, and as much as you might know someone who works somewhere who might be able to help your child get into university. Unfortunately, it's not done that way. You really do have to go through the CAO. Quite often, the guidance counsellors in your child's school would be looking after this setup. The CAO is open for this year, so it opened on the 6th of November for entry 2024, so this year now. I think the early bird price is about €30 if you can get in before February, and then the price does go up a bit. So we would advise, even if your student isn't sure that they want to exactly go to university, that they're not sure if they're going to use the CAO, please do set up an account anyway, just to have it there, because it's really good to have as a backup, because like I said, there's no other way that you can apply. Once you have your CAO account set up, the student can then list all of the courses that they'd like to do at university in order of preference, and they have 10 slots to fill in, 10 university degrees that they'd like to do. And the order of preference is something quite important to focus on. Sorry, my phone's buzzing. I'm just going to check that you can see my slides. Yes, you can. If you are using the CAO, it is a points-based system. A lot of people know this, but there's no personal statement or interview element involved. And I have there, students are just a number, which I think is both good and bad. It's good in the fact that there's no bias when it comes to who you are or what your background is or where you're from. You are just a number in the system, but it can be bad in that there is no personal statement. So you could be the best future doctor or nurse or primary school teacher in the country, but they don't know that about you, because all they're looking at are the results that you get in the Leaving Cert. So two things to bear in mind when your child is looking at a course that they'd like to do. Number one is the points requirement. So for every course in the country, there's points set against it. So like you can see there in my example, if you wanted to do business studies, for example, in DCU, the points last year were 499, the minimum entry requirements. But sometimes there are subject requirements as well. So for example, if you want to do primary school teaching in Ireland, you do need to have higher level Irish, so at least a H4 in Gaeilge. Your student then completes the Leaving Cert examinations and they get points based on their performance. So overall, your child could get, say, 413 points. And depending on the points they get, they'll be eligible for whatever courses they have listed. But this part's really important. They're offered a place on the first course that they're eligible for, working from 1 down to 10. Now, the next slide might be a little bit basic, and it's not to patronise or anything, but genuinely the points and the courses can get quite complicated. So we've stripped it right back into calling our courses strawberry, apple and banana. And these could be in various different universities around Ireland or all in the same college. It doesn't matter. The point is to show you how to do this list properly, because it really is order of preference. So here's an example first of how not to order the CAO. So please, we beg you to not do it like this. So say your child really wants to study the course banana, but because it's lower points than the other courses, maybe I should put it lower on my list. There's a tendency for students to want to list the course that they want based on the amount of points. So this student might have a vague interest in the course here called strawberry, and they need 560 points for that. And they have a vague interest in the course apple, and they need 499 points. The course they really want to do is banana, but because the points are lower, they think, I should probably just put that lower down my list. Okay, if they do it this way, which is the incorrect way, if the student gets enough points for anything above banana, they'll get that course and not the one that they really want. So if the course that your student really wants is number 3 on the list, and say it's at 370 points, if they get 300 or if they get, say, 500 points, they're actually eligible for apple, which means that they'll get apple and everything below apple will disappear. So there's no chance that they can get into banana. And this is another question that comes up repeatedly when the CAO offers come out, is that students will email us and say, I actually got enough points for the course that I want, but I wasn't offered it because I put it low down. But can I just do the course anyway because I got the points? And the answer is no, unfortunately. The CAO is a very strict system. It's order of preference, and you get the first one that you're eligible for. So if this student's CAO, if they got 600 points in the Leaving Cert, they would get strawberry because they're eligible with for 560 points. They will get strawberry and nothing else below. Okay, so this is how we would say to order the CAO. If they really want banana first, you should put banana first, regardless of the points that are attached to it. Points can go up and down depending on how many other people in the country want to study that course, how many places are available on the given course. So just make sure that whatever they are tossing up, that ultimately they put it in order of preference. Don't pressure them to put a higher higher points course above the one that they want to do, because if they do end up getting a lot of points, they will get the first one that they're eligible for. Okay. So in the ideal situation, the course that you really want to do is banana. It's 370 points. And if you get above 370 points, you'll be able to get into that program. Again, I know that's basic. I'm very, very aware of that, but it's just to strip it right back. Please do it in order of preference. Okay. So all going to plan, your student can do the Leaving Cert, get the points that they want, and get into university and go from there. But not everyone goes that route, be it on purpose or accidentally. If they don't get the points or they don't look at the subject requirements, they might find themselves without an offer. Or, that you might just find that they're not maybe ready to go straight to university, and you think a PLC would be the way to go. And we really do endorse this pathway into university. So if we call back to the NFQ framework that we were talking about earlier, I said you could go to level 5 all the way up to level 8 if you wanted to go straight to university. But there are these options in the middle as well, to go to a college of further ed or an IT, complete a degree there, and then use the grades that they get in one of these degrees to apply to university. Okay. And most universities in Ireland have reserved places for students coming in through a post Leaving Cert course. It's still a competitive route, so you do need to perform quite well in the PLC course to be competitive to get into the university. So generally, the students need to complete that, degree, the level 5 or 6 in a further education college in a single sitting. So they can't do, a few subjects one year and a few subjects the next year. It has to be done in one sitting. They do need to have specific module requirements for some of our degrees. So for example, if you want to do a science degree with us in DCU, it's often required that you have something science related in your PLC, so that you're kind of studying a relevant area. Same goes for areas of business. You might need to be doing, say, business statistics or marketing or something like that in your PLC in order to apply for it in DCU. But there are very specific details about this online that I can send in on at the end. And then generally, you need to have at least 5 distinctions in your PLC to apply to university. We say at least 5, but ideally you're going for the full 8 if you can, because again, the more distinctions you have, and the more competitive you will be to get in. So you should definitely look at PLCs as options to get into university, but DCU specifically. These are the courses in DCU that currently don't have a PLC entry route, okay, but most of our programs do. The ones that we just don't have PLC connections with just yet, and that could change every year, so make sure to keep checking the list. At the minute, primary school teaching, that secondary school teaching course, psychology, or actuarial maths. And I just need to query actually that global business one at the end, because I think there might be a route for that now for USA or Canada, but the vast majority of our programs do. This is just an exception list of those who don't, but most of them do. So it's a really good way, even if it's not the plan A for your student, it could be the plan B. And we really do encourage, like I said, that entryway into DCU. If we go back to just our university courses for a minute, obviously this talk isn't really focusing on all the degree programs that we have, but there's obviously a lot of attractive features just across university degrees in general. We do have a lot of opportunities for our students to study abroad or do work placements as part of their programs. We get to meet people from other countries. About 20% of our student body are international in DCU, so from outside of Ireland. Naturally, a university degree can get you closer or to the industry requirements for some careers. So if you wanted to go on and become a chartered accountant, you're going to need to sit some exams for that. Or if you want to be a clinical psychologist or a chartered physio, there are a lot of exams that students need to do even after university to get towards those goals. But having a university degree means that you cover some of that content ahead of your graduation. There's opportunities to have flexibility in your modules as well. So you kind of design courses in ways that suit you, and I'll show you a pyramid about that in a minute. And there's obviously a lot of encouragement for independent learning and research. So obviously the school system is quite prescribed in what the students are learning, and there's a syllabus to follow, but it's much more flexible, with university degrees. And here's just a graphic to help you understand the kind of general structure of a university program. This is kind of the DCU formula anyway. In most cases, year 1, you tend to go in and learn your kind of broad base of knowledge. So you don't often get to pick the subjects or modules that you do in first year. We often have dedicated ones to get everyone up to speed. Year 2 is when you start to kind of go deeper into those areas and start to fine tune your degree and pick areas and research areas you have an interest in. Generally, year 3 is some form of internship, work placement, study abroad, and then often year 4 is when you specialize in an area. So it's a nice structure, which means that you can get a nice, broad, strong base and kind of specialize then and go on. And like I said, you could look at the NFQ framework and continue on from there if you were really into academia. But just as I come to the near the end of the presentation now, just to focus for a second on the DCU Care and Connect, because I know we're talking a lot about the kind of technicalities of getting into university and points and CAO and entry requirements. But there's a life after all of that as well if your student does come and study with us in DCU. There's a culture of kind of well-being across the entire university, but really specifically for first years to make sure that they're very welcome. There's a lot of research done on how students adapt when they're transitioning from sixth year into first year at university, and it can be quite hard. They can encounter difficulties that maybe they didn't have before, making friends or finding, an adult that they can trust, like a counselor or a therapist. Healthy eating, a good diet, exercise, things like that can kind of throw them off balance a bit when they're, beginning their life as a university student. So there's a whole system called DCU Care and Connect, which looks after all of our students and staff to make sure that help is very accessible for whatever you might need. Not only help for yourself, but also how to refer other people for assistance as well. So it's a whole community of people looking out for each other. And it's just launched kind of officially this year, which is great. So there's a lot of in-person supports on campus available for students, be it with their academic performance. So there's like a maths learning centre or a writing centre if they're struggling with maths, or essay writing as part of their programme. There's a counselling service, a careers service to have a look at their CVs free of charge and help with interview tips. There's quiet rooms and prayer rooms, well-being centres, and the U, which is like a student hub where students can gather outside of lecture hours. And it's quite a friendly atmosphere at the university. So as much as we're talking about the technical side of things, there is a lot of care there as well for our students. So just a few pointers, I guess, for your research going forward. Just remember to check the general entry requirements for universities along with the points and the subject requirements. So make sure that you're having a look at what your student is interested in, what sort of points are they, and do they have the subjects that are necessary. For example, if they want to do a language with us in DCU, they might need to get a H4 in that language currently in school to go on, or higher level maths for engineering, or higher level Irish for primary school teaching. Just have a look at all of those things, because they really can trip some people up at the final hurdle. Order the CAO in order of preference. So try not to fall into the trap of, I better list it from the highest points to lowest points just in case. The system is brutal and it doesn't look for any nuance in what you're actually interested in versus what you've put down. It will take your 1 to 10 as exactly what your order of preference is. So I know it can be really hard to actually narrow down what one goes where, but just make sure that the intention anyway is order of preference. Explore alternative pathways. Not everyone is going to go directly in from sixth year to first year of university, and that's totally fine. We are building on our PLC connections every single year. We really do encourage students to come in via that pathway. And then finally is listen to your student and help them find something that they like. I know we can think that we know each other better than maybe we know ourselves, but just make sure that it's something that they like, that they're going to enjoy for 3 or 4 years. Don't worry too much about the end goal. There are jobs that the students will be working in 10 years' time that don't exist right now. So just go and follow something that they have a real interest in, a natural bit of interest in, and that they'd like to study a bit further, and that should set them up on a good path. So I'm going to pop back to the chat now and see if there's any questions, but the session's recorded as well. And like I said, if you do have questions that are more specific, that would probably be best addressed by our registry or our fees team, but I can try my best now if there's anyone there in the chat. Yeah, if you select 2 courses with the same points, it would be the one that you have first, higher up on the list. It's really kind of black and white about it. And there's something there about when we choose 10 level 7 programs, level 8. Yeah, perfect. So Margaret will get back to you via email for anything, but I can stay online for another few minutes to get everyone up to speed. Like I said, we probably have a range of people in the audience, some who are very familiar with the CAO and how it works, and some less so. So there's no such thing as a silly question. Please pop in and ask, and we'd be delighted to help. Yeah, so we do have on campus accommodation in DCU, and it opens on the 1st of February every year, in and around the 1st of February, and you apply for it for the year that you want to go to university. So if you are intending on starting, or you're a student in 2024, you will put your name down for accommodation this February, so in a few weeks' time. It's allocated via a lottery system. So it doesn't matter if you're really close or really far away from DCU, it's randomized, and the lotteries happen every few weeks. So what will happen is the first lottery will happen, and some people will accept their place immediately for DCU. Some people have decided since that they don't want to go. So if there's any vacant rooms, all the other names will go back into the virtual hat or whatever they use, and they're drawn until all of the rooms are assigned. You can obviously have your room secured, but if you didn't get into DCU, you obviously don't accept it. Your name is taken off the list, so you can kind of have it lined up and ready to go. But obviously we don't have on campus accommodation for absolutely everyone. But we do have off campus accommodation links that are quite close to the university, like a stone's throw from our kind of two main campuses. So we can send on some information about that as well in the follow-up email, kind of student villages that are nearby. That can be helpful with that. Summer internship program, STEM available. So this isn't really my wheelhouse. As far as I'm aware, that is mainly for secondary school teachers, but it could well be for primary school. I can check that with the education stream. They would be um, more suited to answer that, but I can look into that for you, Sharon, and I'll double check. And I'm not sure the answer on this, does the BFI have more points than the standard French bac? There was a session on earlier about EU applications using the baccalaureate, which again was probably a bit more suitable for that stream, but we'll make sure to get your answer. We'll have all your details from UniBuddy, so we're going to send on a follow-up with anything. Yeah, and Margaret will have you there on student help, so don't worry, we'll make sure that your questions get answered. And for James, if you're still online, we will have these recordings up on our YouTube page in due course, so you can rewatch, and if there's anything that you need clarification on, we can get that over to you. No, we're not an NUI university. So the general entry requirements for the university is to have English or Irish and maths. So unless you intend on studying, say, French with us, you don't need to have French for your leaving cert. So as long as you have English or Irish, they're accepted, and you do need to have higher ordinary level maths. And again, there's specific entry requirements. Like if you wanted to do engineering, that would need to be higher level maths. Same for one of our computing programs, and like I said, for the languages. But if you're wanting to do, I don't know, science, you don't need to have a foreign language, a European language to gain access. Thanks, Christina. That's a good question about the account. So basically, if you set up before, well, you can set up your account for weeks, but say if you were to do it tonight, you don't need to put any information on it tonight other than, say, your student's name and I'd say address and PPS number maybe or something like that. That's all. So you don't need to have your final list of courses until the 1st of July. So the CAO closes on the 1st of July. And if you can get your account open before February, it means you have all the information there. It will then close for a while, and the CAO will sort out basically all the accounts, all the information, and it will reopen, and you can change the courses as well. So you don't need to be pressured into putting stuff on it the minute that you open the account. But as long as the account is there, that's the important thing. And like I said, you can chop and change. But ultimately, the final submission is 5 p.m. on the 1st of July of every year. And we do indeed have people, I'm sure, changing it around up until the minute. But yeah, you have a while to think about it. No problem. And we do as well run in DCU, just on the note of the change of mind, we call it, the 1st of July. And we do also do kind of a last minute open day at the end of June for any students who are particularly torn, say, between courses and they really can't make up their mind. So obviously we run big open days during the year, but we do have a more intimate one at the end of June for kind of the last chance saloon for people. So if things were still up in the air by then, we're still around to help with your decision. That support goes all the way up until July. Yeah, thanks a million, Margaret. Yeah, so if you wanted to study one of our languages, you just need to have your H4, but not if it's not related to that. Yeah, no, Fiona, you don't need to have any courses on it literally until the very end, so the 1st of July. So you can just literally create the account now, or in a week's time, and just have it there. The only reason the CAO closes is to just kind of take stock of the number of students who have an account and make sure that all the information is there, and it reopens and you can change around as much as you like. So I just think the €30, it's a bit cheaper. There's like an early bird rate if you apply before February. You can still open it afterwards. It just might cost you a little bit extra. So handy to just get it done and have it there and save the stress then. Thanks, Dennis. Question there about transferring. So the line that we tend to give about transferring is that it's possible, but it's not guaranteed. There's quite a few variables that come into play. The number of students on that program, and if there's physically space in the classroom or in the lab for them. It depends on what your degree program was in your first year. Was it vaguely related? Are you trying to jump from a business degree to another business degree, or are you trying to go business to science? So it kind of, changes. It really depends case by case, but it absolutely is possible. It does happen, but we just say it's not guaranteed because sometimes it doesn't work out. But people do absolutely move around. They might find that they're doing something with a language, but the language is a bit too difficult for them. They want to change, or they want to redirect, their pathway. But yeah, as I said, we just can't say for sure that it happens because it depends every year on the places. Yeah, so Margaret's on it there. You just have the account made, Fiona, and then, like I said, you could literally put something new on the CAO on the 1st of July if you were that way inclined. Don't worry about it too much. You have lots of time to edit it. Very few students stick with the order and the courses. And that's why we have kind of open days all through the year. You might discover something in April that you hadn't seen before. So you absolutely have time to put that on your list. But yeah, as Margaret said, there's a handful of courses in the country that are restricted entry, like say a music degree if you needed to audition for it, or if you were going into primary school teaching through Church of Ireland entry, they need to do some kind of interviews or portfolio research. So they just need to have that on their list before. But there's very few courses like that. Okay, I don't see any more typing in the chat, so we might leave it here. And please do use our inbox studenthelp@dcu.ie for any question at any time. Myself and Margaret can get an answer to you. No problem at all. We know it can be a difficult journey, especially if it's your first time. So we're here to help with anything that you need. So we'll follow up with an email and maybe a link to our registration form for, excuse me, our keep in touch page. So you can get kind of regular emails from us over the next few months and kind of know when those deadlines are coming up, when accommodation opens, sports scholarships, CAO closing and things like that. We can help you out. Obviously a short session today, but we're online for whenever you need us. So thanks a million. Enjoy your cold Tuesday evening. Chat to you soon.